Hi y'all, I'm Melissa and welcome to Oh My Word, Melly. So guys, today I'm here again with my March reading wrap up. In March, I read 10 books. Oh my word, I just am so stoked that I read so many books in March, like 10 books. So without further ado, let's see what are the 10 books that I read and what I thought of these books. So the first book I read in March is Clash of Fate and Fury by Rachel Menard. I gave it a 5-star, guys. It was such an amazing book. It's book 2 of the Labors of Jen series and I absolutely devoured it. It was fast paced. I just loved everything, like from the world building to the characters to how the duology ended. I just absolutely love. I wanted more of it. If you want to know more of this duology and this book, you can click up here to watch my review on both of these books at once and in detail, which I did last month. If you still haven't watched it, so you can click up here. But I'm not going to waste more time in this video talking of this book because I already have. So shockingly, the next book that I read this in March was a thriller. I know I am not a thriller reader, but this year is all about putting myself out of that comfort zone, and that is Run On, read by Noel W. Ely. I saw this book being recommended across TikTok and saying that it's fast paced and like even for beginners to thriller, this is like an absolutely amazing book, and like it will have you like wanting to know what happens. And guys, I absolutely enjoyed it. Like it's a full length novel, but it's short and it just can be read in like 6 hours, because I read it in one sitting. I just started it in like early afternoon and I was done by evening. Like it was that fast. This had me like gasping. I was like feeling the fear the characters were feeling, the tension, like my heart was just beating so fast. So it is something where these two girls go out to some, I don't know, cliff area for high school gathering kind of thing, but then some people ambush them and they try to kill them, and this is about them being stuck in the vehicle with no signals to call for help, and then they crash and they go into this, I don't know, forest area trying to survive, but they get caught, and like it was just adrenaline after adrenaline, and I just was like on my toes. Like I was having goosebumps as well because like my hair was just standing up. It was that thrilling, to be honest. And there is no foreshadowing whatsoever. Like you can start speculating how this is going to go, or like how you think it would play out, but there is no foreshadowing whatsoever. And at the end, the twist was like, I was like just speechless. Like I couldn't possibly think of that ending, is what I have to say. Like I just couldn't. It was that exhilarating and I just couldn't put this book down. Like, you know, there is this term going around TikTok and all of that saying books that are unput downable, and this is definitely one of those for me. Giving y'all a heads up, like read this for sure, but this book is going to leave your head messed up. It's like mind boggling and you're like, how you'll be like that. I gave Run On Red a 4-star rating because I liked it, but then I would have wanted more, I guess, from a thriller or a first time thriller reader. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't 5-star-ish for me. So my next read for March was none other than The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I gave this a 5-star rating. I think 5-star is also just not enough for this book. I enjoyed it that much. I have some attachment to this book that I just cannot explain. Just looking at the book is giving me like all the feels and emotions that I had when I was reading this. And this is a book that I would be recommending to any soul who is going to listen to me at least for a minute. So I am going to be like, read this book. The hype was the reason I was so scared to pick it up, but I am like thanking God that I somehow found the courage to pick up a book. Like, you know, there are books that scare you because you don't want to hate it when everyone else loves it. But I just absolutely love this. You can read this book in one sitting, even though it seems like humongous, and like especially this book has like teeny tiny letters. I read it on the Kindle obviously because these letters are like really too small for me to read. Like this is like revolving around a journalist being called in to do an interview with one of the celebrities who never ever agreed for an interview, who had like so much of fame and like an Oscar winning actress. She wanted to do an interview and they lure this journalist Monique, and to see it's not actually an interview to this magazine where Monique works, but Evelyn wants Monique to write her biography. Not for the magazine, but she wants the biography. She wanted people to finally know who Evelyn Hugo is. And like the title says, she married 7 times. But for all so many reasons that y'all need to read this to discover. I can't say more. But getting into this book, y'all have to check out trigger warnings if y'all are easily affected by books, because this talks about breast cancer awareness as well as a lot of touchy topics which some people would not agree on, but I absolutely love this book. I just don't know. So this book goes in more like a dual POV where you get to know the journalist Monique as well and the struggle she is having in her personal life while doing this interview. Plus, you get to know Evelyn Hugo's life because she is narrating it for the biography. Like this book is so unique. It's not a book I have like read before or a storyline that I have read before. It's just, I don't know, God sent. I just absolutely love this book. This also shows that celebrities like Evelyn Hugo are people who are struggling, are like human. They are all human. Even though they have fame and fortune and money and wealth and all that, it's just by striving, struggling and doing the best they can. And in this case, it was Evelyn Hugo using whatever she can to get from poverty to where she was now. And like whether it was using her body, her sensuality, her sexuality, whatever it was, like if you go to this, like go into this book with an open mind, it will make sense to you why she made these decisions, right? And it's not just to be frowned upon. And I absolutely love that. Like you understand the struggle she went through, and to lose her daughter and herself for breast cancer, I really was like just put into so much of emotions. Again, I'm saying this book is like one of its kind. Like I really can't, I was so hooked from the very beginning. And like why did Evelyn select Monique? Like you try to, I don't know, speculate things throughout the book, but you just won't see it until you see it. And the end is what I have to say. And how this book ends is like going to put you into that place where you are like, oh my word. And like it will leave you speechless, because it was leaving me speechless. I don't even know how I'm doing a review at this moment. Read this, like that's all I can say. I am just spellbound by this book. It was like reading a gossip magazine but more, and like you couldn't like put this down. Again, this is another book you can't put down. Like you just wanted more and more of the gossip that you were going into it, and like getting the gossip from the source itself was like, the next book I read in March was a novella, and that is COVID 128 by Marissa Mayer, which is like a spin-off or an alternate universe to the Luna Chronicles, where you see how Cinder, Scarlet and all of them are surviving with COVID, which was a fun and breezy read. Like it was a novella, so it was really short. You can read it in like 2 hours or less if y'all are a fast reader. I just absolutely loved it, because as soon as I saw this novella available for me to get, I just had to read it. I wanted to see how Marissa Mayer would put a spin on COVID with living on Luna, having relations with Earth and all that. It was just amazing how they were all stuck in a spaceship trying to Cop, like every one of us was stuck at home during COVID, which I absolutely loved. It was a short book. I have nothing more to say for that. I gave it a 3 star because it was really short, but it was like a lovely breezy read, and for someone who loved the Lunar Chronicles like I did, I think this was a fabulous novella. So the next book I read is Beyond the Wand, The Magic and the Mayhem of Growing Up a Wizard by Tom Felton. Guys, let's say I gave this 5 star. I am bonded with this book like another. Like I thought I had some special connection with Evelyn Hugo's book, which I do, but the connection I have this book just goes beyond my childhood, my nostalgia of growing up with the Harry Potter franchise, watching it day on day off. Like I I just absolutely love this book, and to see it from a different lens was just, I don't know, spellbinding. Like from the start of this book itself, I loved it. I loved how the table of contents itself gave like small snippets or explanations of each chapter, like which keeps you like expecting. You want to know like, wait, what is happening in this chapter? Like it gives you that from the beginning. And the foreword of this book was written by Emma Watson, who is Tom Felton's best friend since they started on Harry Potter, and I absolutely loved her writing to a point where I wish she had a memoir or biography as well. And I have to comment on Tom Felton's writing. Like, who would have thought Draco would be this emotional? I just loved his style of writing, like everything he addressed with like witty humor and sarcasm, and at the same time it was really raw and real. Like you just connect to everything, you see everything that he's trying to narrate from the book, which I absolutely loved. And for me, someone as a Harry Potter fan despises Draco until like the very end where he switched sides or like chose the correct side, it was kind of weird to see Draco this down to earth, but this book gives you that ability to finally understand who Tom Felton is, and like to separate Draco Malfoy and Tom Felton, and to understand both the character and the being behind it in a different way. You just get more and more invested in Tom Felton, that you start to actually understand them separately, which I just loved. You can connect with him. I was just laughing my guts out throughout the book, because it, whatever he addressed, even like the most touchy subjects, it was very hilarious and witty that you just can't stop laughing. Everyone goes into this book wanting to know about Harry Potter, which you will get. Like you will definitely get it through this book. You, not that you won't, but I love that it was not just that. Like before Harry Potter, how as a child actor he was going for auditions where he was careless and carefree whether he got it or not. Plus, then throughout the Harry Potter franchise for a decade that was being filmed, how they all evolved, like not only him but other characters. And then after Harry Potter ended, how his life drastically changed, like to a point where like the latter parts of this book was really emotional. Like you see again in this book, celebrities are just like other humans. They are not any special people. They all have their struggles and I don't know, weaknesses, and it's all about identifying where you are weak at or what's your weakness, and I don't know, overcoming them. And like I just loved Tom Felton's entire journey. I felt really emotional at the end when I got to know how he was struggling with drugs and substance, and like not more than drugs, it was like alcohol, and how people tried to help him, how he was rebellious against this until he realized he needed people's help, and how he overcame it to where he is now. Like he touched upon scenes where behind the scenes that you actually need to know as a fan, and that was like, I just loved all those sneak peeks. And I was this kid again who watched Harry Potter for the very first time. All those nostalgic feelings just just running through my head, and I was like, yes, 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 this is like giving a kid candy kind of thing for me, and I absolutely love this. So one amazing book, guys. Like, who thought I would enjoy non-fiction memoirs? Like, I started off reading Trevor Noah's book in January, and now again I have read another one. Shocking, I know. I think 5 stars for this is honestly not enough. If I could give more, I would definitely give more. This book everyone has to read. If y'all are a Harry Potter fan, I think y'all need to read this. And this makes me want to watch it again because, guys, reading this, I realized how oblivious I have been watching these movies 100, 200 times since I was small to like, because there are so many aspects of the movie where he talks about that I never realized while watching it, like side characters, stunt actors, like we just don't give them enough of credit, and like so many scenes that I know I have watched that, but I haven't noticed those small things. It can be a character, it can be what another character was doing. Like, I just want to watch it again. Like, I don't need a reason to rewatch the Harry Potter marathon, but like I just need to watch it because now I will notice more subtle things that I haven't noticed before. I couldn't get enough of it. This too was very fast paced. You can read it in one sitting. Check this out. Even if you are not a non-fiction fan, I think this is something you all will enjoy. So in office we started a book club this month, and the first book we all picked was a thriller. So this is I Will Find You by Harlan Coben. Guys, I gave it a 3 star. People in our book club was like saying Harlan Coben was like an renowned thriller writer and all that, and I was like so excited because when I checked the reviews, like they had so many good things to say, and then I read it. It's a 400-page book, but nevertheless, the writing style was so fast paced, you can finish it in 7 hours. At the beginning, so it was like I was hooked with how it unraveled and all that, but then things started to just get so fast. Like, it wasn't the fast pacedness that was giving it the issue, it's just the events, the scenes changing very fast throughout the book, and halfway through I was like, bro, it's never that easy. Like, this is like a prison break in search for a son who this guy killed and went into prison for. He got life imprisonment because of killing his son, but then later finds out 5 years later that the son is alive and he's going to find the son. And it just, the scenes were so unrealistic, and I'm like, it can't be that easy, can it? Like, you somehow break out of prison, you somehow wait without getting caught, you somehow, like, I don't know. That's something I was like dying to talk about this book, by the way, but I just didn't know what was the hype. Like, if he was a renowned thriller author, I think he would write better. I don't know. I was interested in the book like up to the mid mark, or like 50% through the book. I was interested, and then I was actually praying the way things were flowing on in the book that the ending won't be hopeless, but for me the ending was hopeless. I don't know, it's just my opinion. At the beginning, or like when the things are flowing where you are already interested and all, you will try to theorize of how this will be. Like, you know, at the end of the day that this guy is going to find the sun. That is like obvious with how the book started, and then you start realizing when other characters come in, like this has like multiple POVs, like then you realize, this is the sun, now let's see how he comes to this point to find this sun, kind of thing. And I'm like still conflicted talking about this book because I was told so many great things about the author, about his previous books, and then I find this book falling short. No solid leads, like he just all of a sudden gets one lead and bam, the child is there, yeah, I'm going to rescue you. Just, I don't know, for a thriller book, it wasn't very thrilling or gory or anything you expect from a thriller book. My next read is also a murder mystery kind of YA novel, and that is The Agathas by Kathleen Glasgow and Liz Lawson. I gave this a 3-star read, and this is book 1 of a duology or series, I still don't know. Book 2 is going to be released on the 30th of May this year, and that is The Night in Question. So the Agathas, as the name says, it is inspired by Agatha Christie, and the main character of this book loves Agatha Christie novels, tries to draw inspiration from the characters of Agatha Christie books, and there were so many Agatha Christie references across the book, and thus the Agathas. So a high school child goes missing, then they find her body, and then they start to see who murdered her or what happened. And it gave me so much of not our childhood Nancy Drew and Archie comics, but the CW channel twist on Riverdale and Nancy Drew. That's exactly what I got from this book. I did not see any originality in this. This main or a socialite, this top chick of this high school goes missing. They find her body at the bottom of a cliff, and this is in a small town, seaside town thing. Totally the start of Nancy Drew, right? If you all have watched that TV series, which is running on CW, it was like a copy of it. That's what I am saying. I enjoyed the book, or I kind of liked the book. I did want to know what happened and all that, and this is a detective thing, which I love. I love detective stuff to read, to watch and all that. So you have every character you meet is a suspect, and you try to draw into conclusions, and you guess that person or who the unsub is, but there are no more proof leading to it, so you will just forget about it. And I loved how at the end it comes in this huge twist, and then that's the person who killed this girl, kind of. I absolutely love that. The writing was easy and it's flowy, but I found it so cliche, and it took me a good 10 to 11 chapters to get hooked into the book. Until then, I was reading again, no sense of wanting to DNF this book. It wasn't that bad. You enjoy reading it, but to be hooked, to want to know what happens next and all that, it took me about 10 to 11 chapters. So it had you, it kept you interested, but not enough. Was I was questioning, do I love this? Is it as worth the hype? I saw this book being recommended on Instagram, on BookTube, people talking about it and enjoying it, and I'm still the hype for me is questionable, as book 2's plot was insinuated or implied on in this book, and I know what murder mystery they are trying to solve in the next book. And because I am intrigued and curious to know how that unfolds, I will obviously be reading book 2, but this book wasn't worth the hype for me. Still, it was a good read. The reason I read the Agathas was it's one of the books I chose for one of the challenges of the Uppercase YA reading challenge. You all can click up here, where I had to read a murder mystery, and this is the book I picked. And the next book I read was also a book that I picked for another challenge of the same challenge. Again, you all can click up here to watch that. And that is to reading a contemporary kind of book. And that book I selected was In 5 Years by Rebecca Serle. Again, a hyped book. It, I think, won a Goodreads award as well. People just were going bonkers about this book, and that's why I picked this book for that prompt. And I gave it a 3-star. Let me tell you, the plot was not like anything that I have heard of or read before. It had this time traveling aspect, but it wasn't a Groundhog Day kind of thing, or nor was it going Back to the Future, whatever kind of thing. It wasn't like that. It was a very unique plot of its own. So that is another thing that I was curious and intrigued. But I was honestly struggling to connect with the book and with any of the characters. I really couldn't. There is no character in this book that I would honestly say that I like. I liked the plot of how it went, but it was about a girl who had a 5-year plan, and she had everything, but she was not happy. She wasn't grateful. She was very unsatisfied, and so much of miscommunications. And then she has this dream for 1 hour of how her life would be 5 years later, and then how that unfolds, but that was also still so fast. Like, she had the dream, if, which was just an hour, then she wakes up back in the present time, and then that soon goes, like, it's like fast forward to 5 years, and then she is on a deadline to see if that premonition or her dream will come through in like 6 months ish, and then her friend gets ovarian cancer, which that part was really sad, but like everything just happened very soon. I did not know how to connect with it. Honestly, this book was not worth the hype, and let me tell you this, they said this book will have you crying, like gut wrenching, tissue box emptying kind of crying, and I was just like, this book made me sad. The only key takeaway for me from this book is your life is short to be stuck doing something that you don't enjoy. So experiment, find out what you enjoy doing, and then do that and enjoy life as well, because it's too short to not enjoy. I did want to know what was happening, how will it unfold, but the unfolding just happened too much. Like, it was, it just actually fast forward 5 years later kind of thing, which was not something I liked, wasn't my cup of tea. The next book that I read, and that is An Unwanted Love Story by Ellie Hall, and this is a novella which I gave 4 stars for. It is the first book of an actual series of 6 books called the Falling Into Happily Ever After Rom-Com series by Ellie Hall itself. I had read book 6 of this, and that is An Unconventional Love Story back in December in 2021. Not all of the 6 books are novellas though, but some are shorter books comparatively which you can read, and they are all standalones of its standing itself, like on its own, so you can just read in whatever order you want to. So I had first read book 6 and I was like really I excited about Eddie Hall's writing, that when I got a chance and I saw book 1 was a short book, I picked it up. And guys, I absolutely loved it. And it starts with, would you like fall for a guy who hates ice cream? Hell no, I love ice cream, so how would I fall for a guy who hates ice cream? And this book was just amazing. Like, it had a woman entrepreneur who runs this ice cream shop. Like, she has invented her different ice cream combos and sundaes and doing well, and it has this small town romance vibe, and they are like environmentalists because this town is surrounded by this lake, or the town is based on the lake, and the lake is being polluted, and they are trying to help the lake and find out who is polluting the lake. At the same time, this guy owns this car oil exchange company, and he's come undercover to see why this particular town's branch is not working properly, and then these two fall in love, and it was like so cute, and it had this grumpy sunshine vibe and bad first impressions. Yep, definitely. And then swoon were the blue eyes that you just have, you're like swooning about this guy, and I just love this book. It was such a fast paced book, even for a novel. I just ate it up like ice cream. It was so smooth. So many ice cream puns. Anyway, y'all should pick it up. I loved Ellie Hall's writing back then, and I still do love her writing, and this is like a book y'all should pick up. I definitely want to read the next books of this series as well. I have 4 more to read, but definitely I enjoyed this book, and I did not regret picking it up after reading so many books this month. And finally, I read a book by Olivia Dade, and that's an author that I have heard so much of about, with this spoiler alert, all the feels kind of books that are right behind me, which I still need to read. And therefore, I read one of her novellas, which is Desire and the Deep Blue Sea, which is book 1 of the Love Unscripted duology, whereas book 2 is Tiny House and Big Love. But I read only book 1. I gave it a 2-star rating. Guys, I could not connect with this book at all. It came to a point where I wanted to DNF it. Like, it has only 9 short chapters. I could have finished it in 2 hours, but it took me 2 days This book had like a Love Island vibe where they had a reality TV show where this girl signs up with her boyfriend just about when this was just about to start filming, they break up and she needed to either say goodbye to her kind of dream vacation that she was anticipating from joining this reality series or reality show, or come up with a plan, and then she takes her workplace enemy who is single and who she kind of liked but hated also, and then she has anxiety. I like characters, who are diverse, who have disabilities, because it makes the book more real, but this was just focusing on her anxiety driven hate towards the guy, and where she just hated everything after they went on to these islands and they kept moving islands, and she hated everything, and then she started falling for this guy. But the book just dragged and dragged and dragged about her complaining rather than anything else, that I just didn't like it. I liked the guy and I wanted to see how they will end up together, and that's the only reason I finished the book. But God, it was so daunting that I didn't even want to try book 2 of this duology. That's why this was the last book of the month, and I just actually worried to start spoiler alert or anything by Olivia Dade, because if I was struggling with a novella, I don't know how I'll be with actual whole novels. Those are the 10 books that I read this month. Some books I really loved, have a special place in my heart, and some books that I just wanted to. If y'all have read any of these books, or if y'all have these books in your TBRs, do read them. Just don't stop because of my opinion. Y'all's reading experience of these books could be different. If y'all have read them and y'all have different thoughts, let me know in the comments down below. And if y'all did enjoy my reviews on these 10 books that I read this month, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, as well as share this with friends and family. So if you want to see more of my videos and more of me, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, as well as click on the little bell icon so that you'll get notified every time I post new videos. It's time for me to say bye from Oh My Word, Melly.